it's quite conceivable that we would flounder about in the creational simulators indefinitely, were it not for the universal guides. These great emissaries of the true reality that have the singular objective, that of assisting all individuals who will pay attention, that they too can stand in the real universes of the all-is. Sometimes, from the perspective of the personal self, such an undertaking would seem an impossibility, and indeed it is an arduous and mighty journey, littered with obstacles and creational distractions. But the guides are a testament to the possibility, for they too would once have roamed the physical rock worlds, and would have had to endure the same process, that of getting through the personal self, and ultimately recognizing the real beings of light they and everybody is already. Everything equals itself. This is a fundamental principle of life. What one receives is in equal measure to what one gives, and the nature, the particulars of what we do is reflected back at us in the experiences and positions in life we find ourselves in. In creation, this is very apparent and demonstrable, and for those who pay attention and are conscious of their 5 vehicles and their mechanics, will clearly see cause and effect in operation in their moment-by-moment lives. The cause and effect principle is also referred to as karma, so really we can see that karma is not some punishment bestowed upon us by beings external to our experience, or some deity in the clouds passing judgments. Everything in creation is what we term a created idea. It is the ideas that become realities, for if we create something, it only follows that we would have the actuality of it in our experience. What people do not realize is how the design of the 5 body vehicles is such that everything generated from them will result in an experience. The thoughts and emotions are the ink by which our stories are written. And as we continue writing our story, we are resigned to reading them, to always be the effects of ourselves. And we have plenty of lifetimes worth of stories that are very similar in their theme, like a particular brand of story, like westerns or horror movies. The main themes of our ongoing stories we carry around with us always, for we become emotionally attached to particular ideas, with the added stimulation from our subconscious to make them especially potent and constant from lifetime to lifetime. It is like we have torn out the parts of the old books we liked the best, or those we are in constant agreement with, and carry these tired old pages in our coat pockets, out of sight, but certainly not out of mind, out of causal akashic mind, that is. The obvious thing would be to discard these old pages, but you can't realistically erase your akashic records, although nothing is impossible, and indeed these lifetime records can and do get tampered and interfered with. Better then to remove the pages from our coat pockets, become conscious of them, acknowledge their effect on us, and place them on a shelf for reference material should we require them. And where did all these pages and books that continue to affect our experiences come from? All stemmed from a created idea that we agreed to, that we latched onto, that we became emotionally attached with, and incorporated into our created personal self-consciousness. People may well proclaim that the idea they agree with is an actuality, and therefore merits their agreement. But this can surely be so of any idea. Every idea is a creation, and agreed with will generate an effect that is in keeping with the particulars of this idea, in accordance with the cause and effect principle of creation. We could decide anything, and given enough focus, it must be so. If we get agreement from others, and agreement on a vast scale, it becomes so for everybody who agrees with it. It becomes the overall reality. We could invent the cult of the biscuit god, and how grovelling to a gigantic cookie will produce good crops. If enough people decide this is so, the crops may well be plentiful, and so the cookie worship would seem a great idea, and a sensible thing to promote. What has actually happened is people have simply decided and agreed that the crops will be bountiful, and the effect must surely follow. They have simply decided that the worship of a biscuit must be so for this to occur. Take the biscuit out of the equation, and the crops may well fail, because they will all now decide that the crops must be bad in light of the biscuit's absence, where all along it was just what they decided, what they chose, what they collectively focused on that made it so. And all of that was just a heap of various ideas that seemed to warrant agreement. But agreement and emotional attachment and incorporation into the created consciousness, and it's another page carried around with the self that will always then generate or add to the overall and continuous unconscious experience of lifetimes. So karma then is simply cause and effect. The causes are that which we decide, and thus we make our own karma, and it follows that we can at any time we choose step beyond the necessity of having to be shackled by our karmic debts. Of course, with the subconscious parts of the self that are on automatic pilot, the concealed beyond conscious sight pages of the themes of our movie we cling to, we can never be free of karma unless we reveal these old attachments and ensure their release. Another gift of the guides, as they will assist the individual with the removal of these old agreements, assuming we agree their release. These binding, effect-generating old attachments and agreements, what we may call taplines, can only restrict us if we insist on them remaining. As we go through our process of becoming more aware, some taplines are harder to let go of than others, especially ones of an emotional nature, particularly where attachment to other individuals are concerned. During the day, we will load up with all manner of dross, and we may well endeavour to remain objective, to remain in a state of being isness, which is our real awareness connection, while standing in creation. But it's like walking through a muddy field and hoping none of the mud will adhere to our boots. For we are constantly being bombarded by subliminals also, slipping in through the cracks, beyond the threshold, of our ability to consciously vet that which infiltrates our personal vehicles. This, of course, would be more the issue if we were only aware of and fully locked into our created selves, as it would be very much like being the computer game character and having the computer game technicians constantly making alterations to the design and makeup of the character that we play. If we have the analogy of the computer character being the personal self, and the real you, that which is playing the game, we can see that yes, our character may still be bombarded by all of the stuff the controllers throw at it, but it can have no bearing on the actual player, the experiencer, the real you. This would be so in creation, as we walk through our muddy fields, the clinging mud representing the subliminal bombardments. But with our connection to the real self, these things can only affect the personal created self and have nothing to do with our real awareness. Were we to just be unconsciously going through our experiences in the simulations, all these subliminals and idea creations would load up, compound, and add to our created consciousness. The body vehicle is just a storehouse of idea information after all, and it will gather and collate everything it is subjected to. Even if we are not conscious of all the information ideas that are stacking up in the filing cabinets of our mental vehicles.